Now, let's move back to the DMV and the Washington Wizards, who have lost 3 in a row. Now, all they have to do is go on to play the Atlanta Hawks, who are clearly running away with the Eastern Conference. So, and the Cavaliers, as we know, are coming. They've won 11 in a row. That guy, LeBron James, has seemed to figure it out. I'm going to ask you, Keith, are the Wizards in danger of dropping out of a top 4 seed? Because they're right in front of Chicago, just behind Toronto, who they have apparently a bad matchup with. So how do you see that playing out?
Well, I think the danger is actually dropping even from 3 into that 4-5 matchup. Because right now in the East, you have 5 legit teams, and then you have 3 other teams who are going to make the playoffs just because 8 teams make the playoffs.
I think we can agree, though, it's Atlanta, then everyone else is fighting for 2 seeds 2 through 4.
Yeah, but you got Atlanta, Toronto, the Wizards,
Bulls, and
Cavaliers.
Right.
And if you drop into that 4-5 matchup, one of those, you're going to end up playing one of those 2 teams. So really the Wizards, they want to obviously get back on track. And, I don't think the loss last night was not good.
No.
You got to beat Charlotte at home, especially without Kemba Walker. But these things happen, and when we get to the cap segment, we'll probably talk about similar things.
Sure.
A long season, 82-game season, you're going to have times when you play really well and times when you don't play well, and there's still a lot of time for the Wizards to work their way back up. But the thing that's even more concerning is that we're at this point in the season, and Randy Whitman is still tinkering with this second unit, and still hasn't found the perfect perfect matchup. Yeah.
Well, Adam, is there a concern on your part that the Wizards may drop out of that a top 4 seed?
Yeah, sure. I mean, just because of how well Cleveland's playing, and I mean, I think you definitely want to try to get as high a seed as you can, try to win every game. But I wonder if it's not that. I think they match up really well with the Bulls. So if Chicago's 5, I don't think being 4 is that bad.
Yeah.
And I think when it comes to playing the second round, as great as the Hawks have looked, you might want to play them instead of the Cavs in the second round anyway. So the seeding isn't a big deal.
Yeah.
The way they're playing, though, seems to be sort of maybe alarming is too strong, but it was amazing to see how many players said that we're soft right now after that game last night. I mean, that was really given how well they were playing and how sort of sturdy they were early in the year, they seem to be almost like having an identity crisis here in the middle of the year, which is surprising.
Dan, how do you see the Wizards' fortunes after 3 straight losses? They have not looked good at all.
I totally agree with what Kilgore said. I think the defense is troubling because they were a really good defensive team earlier in the year, and that's kind of fallen off a little bit. We've talked about how they haven't really had many, if any, bad losses. That was definitely a bad loss where they're favored by 8 at home against a sub-500 team. So yeah, I mean, I think that's troubling. The other losses to me weren't as troubling, but now they've got a tough stretch with Atlanta and at Charlotte, the team that just beat them. I don't know. I do agree with what he said. I don't almost think that they match up better with Chicago than they do with Milwaukee, who they would probably be looking at in the 3-6 matchup. Then we're trying to figure out who's going to be the second seed and who their second round matchup will be. It's kind of far away for that. But I mean, it looks inevitable that Cleveland is going to zoom past all of the teams probably besides Atlanta.
Is that Keith? You see that as kind of an inevitability that's going to happen?
I think that was always what was going to happen. And there was a point in November and December where people were freaking out about the Cavaliers, and you're like, this team's loaded, but they never played together before, and it takes time. I think for them, for a team to figure itself out. Maybe it took a little longer than folks thought it would, but now you see them playing well with the 11 straight wins. LeBron's back playing well. So
this is definitely putting at risk their chance to get the most wins in franchise history, though. Which I mean, to the extent that anyone cares about that, I think they were on pace earlier, and now they're not.
I'm sure they'd love to have that, but being a top 4 seed, I think, much more important at this point.